Hello and welcome to S and Augie TV. Your host S here, tuning in with a Smile 2 movie review. Smile 2 was released yesterday and I went to see it with my cousins and my son. And boy, do I have some feedback for you. There are no spoiler alerts, so there's nothing to worry about here. You can just watch this to know what to expect and what my thoughts were about the movie. So without further ado, let's dive right in. I've been on the fence, dreaming, low down, dirty, scheming.
Something really crazy is happening to me. I need to stop it, but I don't know how.
It's because you're a horrible person.
What did you say? Gemma?
Let's first start off by discussing the comparison of Smile 2 to the original Smile that was released in 2022. And wow, might I say, the budget is big. They had a way bigger budget, and that is absolutely evident. They just invested a lot more. The second thing that I would like to call out is that soundtrack. So the main character is a pop star who kind of reminds me of Lady Gaga. And she is like so fire. Like her music is so good. I've actually been playing her songs even today. Like I was in the shower, like, Doctor, I need a new brain. Come on, come through, sis. So yeah, they really did a good job with the soundtrack and making it believable that she was some type pop star and even released the soundtrack. Like you can go look up these songs from Sky Riley on Apple Music. So definitely check out the music because it's actually good quality music that you might find yourself enjoying. The soundtrack was fire. I ended up even going home and doing the dances or trying to do the dances with my little babies, my son, and talk about the jump scares. Horror movies, I'm a big horror movie fan. I like live for horror movies, but honestly, as of late, I feel like these directors just have been letting me down. Scary movies have been kind of a joke lately, but this one was really good. They had a lot of great jump scares. Like, it's like you can feel the jump scare loading and you're like preparing your body for the jump scare, but it's never when you think it's gonna be. So they get you every single time. And boy, there are a lot of jump scares throughout the movie. So just be prepared for that. You're going to be on the edge of your seat. Another thing that I think is worth mentioning is that this is a true thriller. in every sense of the word. Meaning, this movie is going to have you mind effed. Like, you're gonna be watching the movie like, what is happening? And I think they did such a great job at that. Like, in the first Smile, right? There's a point in the movie where she can't really distinguish reality from like what this demonic entity is doing, right? Like, is this even really happening? And they doubled down on that whole aspect, but even added a little bit of a twist in Smile 2, to the point where even us as the viewers, you kind of find yourself leaving like, did any of that really happen? When at what point did this stop being real? Right? And you're like, holy crap. So what was real versus what was not? And it's hard for even us as viewers to kind of distinguish like what was the real, what was really happening, where has Riley been this entire time? Her name is Sky Riley. I don't know why I keep calling her Riley. But they do a really good job from that perspective, just really having you like totally 100% mentally in distress. Like, oh, you telling me that wasn't even happening? She wasn't dead. So be prepared for that. And then another remark that I'd like to point out too is I really liked how they tied in both movies. Like, it wasn't just a random sequence, or like a random sequel where like, oh yeah, let's just pick this random person and not tie the storylines together. The storyline is tied together because the officer that, like the ex-boyfriend who happens to be a police officer that watched his girlfriend die in Smile 1, is who this movie starts off with in Smile 2. So he has the entity attached to him and he's like trying to get it up off him in any way, shape, or form. And he ends up meeting somebody from Sky Riley's entourage. And that's how she gets infected with it. So like, I love the clear connection. Like, it's a continuation of this storyline versus just throwing us right into the middle of whatever. And then I also really like how they kind of focus in on mental health and just double down on like, you are in control. Like, a lot of the time throughout the movie, whether Sky Riley was in control or not kept coming up as a topic. And so, yeah, you're watching this entity and her try to like beat this entity and like navigate through the mind games, but it's like also a story of her getting stronger. Like, in the beginning, she's like, I lack control. I lack self-control. I lack control of this and I don't have control of that. But it's like this thing puts her through so much that she's like, no, I am in control. Doctor, I have a new brain. Basically, the movie is fire, but the ending will, like, literally the whole movie will have you in deep thought. Like, once you leave, you won't feel like, oh, I totally understood that ending. You're gonna be like, what was real? What happened? And what does this mean for the next movie? Right? Like, you're gonna be thinking like, okay, so does this mean that there are more hosts now? Like, who is the next person? So the ending is kind of a cliffhanger, right? Like, it just kind of ends very abruptly where there is not much clarity. You just find out most of the movie may or may not have been real. And then at the end, you're like, holy crap. So what does this mean for the next movie and the next host? So overall, I would say that I give the movie a 10 out of 10 from a production perspective, from a storyline perspective, from a casting perspective. The soundtrack was fire. I ended up even going home and doing the dances, or trying to do the dances with my little babies, my son and my niece. So like, yeah, it left a huge imprint on us, and I would 10 out of 10 recommend the movie. Make sure you stop by in theaters to check it out. Thank you for tuning in for an S and Augie TV movie review. We'll be back with more in the future. Take care. If you like this, I recommend watching this video next.